Hi, my name is Stephen McGee and I'm the author of Toxic Electricity. And we're here to talk about the earthing health technique, and there's a whole book on this subject, and this is the book. And it turns out that people have started using earthing and grounding systems as a way of improving their health, and it's a very risky activity. And I came across this health technique when I was actually researching the toxicity of the electrical system. I was a little bit horrified to actually find that people are actually plugging themselves into the utility earthing and grounding systems and hoping it's going to improve their health, because you're actually plugging in to the utility neutral connection when you do that. And there's some very definite risks with doing that, and they're called stray voltage and stray current. And stray voltage and stray current and the health effects in both humans and animals is very extensively documented in this book. It's called Electrocution of America by Russ Allen. And it's something you need to realize, that if you're going to buy this book and you're going to follow the earthing and grounding techniques outlined in it, that you need to realize that you should probably have this book as well, because this book details all of the risks associated with the techniques that are outlined in this book. But when I came across it, I thought it was the socially responsible thing to actually assess the technique and to try and develop it. I'm an electrical engineer. I have a degree in electrical and electronic engineering, and I'm a chartered electrical engineer. So I put this copper cable on my bed several months ago, and I've been sleeping on it. And this copper cable, it has a 100 k ohm resistor in it. And it goes out to a grounding rod that is in my back garden. So this cable is connected through an 8-foot ground rod to my garden, and it's as far away from the electrical system as you can possibly get. And I have to say, it actually eventually made me quite sick. So it appears that Russ Allen is quite correct in his assessment that connecting into electrical grounding systems is actually quite a harmful activity if it's done incorrectly. And at my home, I live in a tract home, so the houses around me are very close to me, and my garden is quite small, so I can't really get a ground rod in far away from the electrical system. So it means that this copper cable is actually likely picking up on contamination from the utility electrical grounding system, which is the utility neutral transformer connection, which is energized. And the health symptoms that showed up in me were joint problems. So I got back problems while I was using this technique, which have now cleared up. And I also got heart arrhythmia problems showed up eventually. And that's why I stopped using it, because Russ Allen documents that the animals with prolonged exposure to the grounding systems were actually dying. So I don't particularly want to die of a heart attack, so I was getting quite concerned that heart arrhythmias were showing up, and the only thing I've really been doing that could possibly induce heart arrhythmia is basically this grounding system. And I've also noticed that when I was developing toxic electricity, that I would get heart arrhythmias if I spent any significant time around aerial power lines. So it appears that both aerial power lines and this grounding technique can actually induce heart arrhythmias. And you can actually simply stop those heart arrhythmias by avoiding grounding systems, and also by avoiding high voltage aerial power lines. So that was the interesting outcome of this experiment, and I just wanted to report it. And for me, I've decided that this earthing health technique is quite risky, and I no longer use it. And I basically came to the same conclusions as Russ Allen, is that if you don't implement this health technique correctly, then you're probably going to get quite sick with long-term exposure to it. But there's definitely cases of people who've used this technique and they've actually reversed their health symptoms and they've actually got quite healthy. So if you can actually find a very clean grounding connection, such as in the rural countryside, then the technique probably does work. But I think it's quite a risky technique to try and implement in a city environment and a suburban environment where I live. And I just wanted to give you my assessment of this technique. And I think that you should be very aware that there are some risks associated with this health technique. If you want to find out more about the various risks of electrical system exposures, you'll find it in this book. It's called Toxic Electricity by Stephen McGee. I hope you enjoyed the presentation, and I wish you the very best of health. Thank you.